So we realized that we've shown you our home in our RV renovation video. However, not many people live in RVs, and we realized we never talked about why the heck we live in an RV. So we're gonna go over our reasons why, and you just might move into one.
All right, so the first huge benefit of why we live in an RV and why we chose to live in one is the cost. So in general, I think wherever you are in the country, if you're gonna live in like an apartment or a house versus an RV, it's gonna be more affordable in an RV. And the reason for that is it costs less to make. There's cheaper places that you can park it. You can live at campgrounds. Some people even boondock. But overall, you're just able to live a lot more affordably.
So living affordably for us, essentially living in an RV is our form of what you can call maybe like house hacking or like living in your parents' basement. So for reference, my parents, they own a campground in Key West, Florida. So yes, very convenient for our situation. But so essentially, instead of moving in with my parents, we said they have a campground. We could totally just like live on an RV on the property and still pay them rent. So that's what we did. And what's great about this is that we still have independence and distance while saving a lot of money. So Key West, Florida isn't the cheapest place to live. It's also not the most expensive, which is nice for a beautiful place. But there was a study done that said for February, the average cost of a one-bedroom apartment is $1,800 a month. And so with utilities included for a one-bedroom apartment for us would probably start at about $2,000 a month. So since my parents own this campground and we do work around the campground, we just help each other out. We get a discounted rent, so we're paying $500 a month. And yes, I understand that that is not the norm for people that live here. But also, I'm sure that a lot of your parents would not let a stranger move into their house for free, but they would let you move in for free. So you see the parallel we're trying to draw? So this is our way of getting discounted rent, helping them out, and also living in our location. So the RV allowed us to do that. But if my parents, which I am so grateful for, but if they did not have this campground, it would still be more affordable to live in an RV than in an apartment or rent out a bedroom here in Key West. Probably around the average long-term RV sites in the Florida Keys and Key West, you can get one for about $1,200 to $1,500 a month. So you're still gonna be saving anywhere from $500 to $800 a month. And yes, for us, we're saving $1,500 a month based on what we'd be paying somewhere else to be in this location. So cost, huge reason of why we live in an RV.
Yeah, and this has just catapulted our personal finances and really enabled us to save all that additional money that we would have been spending on rent and put it more towards our investments. So really grateful for this $500 a month. And it's actually not that unrealistic, depending on if you live in a more affordable area of the country, to pay something like this of like $500 a month.
Definitely. Yeah, like when we went to college at Miami University of Ohio, I actually looked at campgrounds in that area just because I was curious, and there was campgrounds that you could get a spot on the lake for $350 a month rent. That's scary cheap. I don't know how safe it was, but definitely campgrounds across the country, like you said, just tend to be more affordable.
So over the course of the past year, we feel that we've gotten a pretty good idea of what it's like to live in an RV. So we compiled a list of pros and cons of what we've experienced and kind of how we plan to transition moving forward. So the first pro on the list is that it really allows us to live a minimalist lifestyle. So we really didn't want to get a place that was going to be too much space for us, and we feel the need to like fill that space with items. We did a video about a minimalist challenge where we got rid of 500 things in 30 days, and stuff like this has really just been helpful to live in an RV for, and really just focusing on what things do we find value in and keeping those things and not getting too much.
Yeah, and so also being in a smaller space, we found that we tend to be, I guess, one of two things. One of them is being more creative. Since you have a limited amount of space, you have to think about kind of what you want to do with your time when you have free time. I mean, you can't really do, say, like a workout indoors, and we don't have a gaming system, so you can't sit on the couch all day and play. So we're creative in what we do, and we tend to be outdoors more. Yes, we're in an awesome location to be outdoors pretty much year round in Key West, but just being in that small space, it can sometimes just feel like, okay, like time to go outside. Like inside is kind of a place for work, sleep, eat, and then let's go play outside.
Yeah.
So that's really been awesome for challenging our lifestyle and making us more active.
And one last little thing that has really helped us as we've gotten kickstarted in our lives together is the fact that RVs come with furniture already. So if you're gonna get an apartment, let's say you're spending $1,800 a month on a new apartment, that's probably gonna come unfurnished, and you're gonna spend a couple grand in furniture to just get your life started. But with an RV, we bought this thing, and it already came with everything that we needed. Granted, we did spend some time swapping some things out and getting more furniture of our liking that worked for us, but you don't have to do that. You can get an RV and just live in it the way it is for such an affordable price.
Now let's get into the cons of an RV. So we're really comparing an RV to an apartment, since that's what we would be living in essentially if we didn't have this. And it's not really a fair comparison exactly because you need the upfront cost of an RV. So this is the con, which is kind of understandable, but we still want to point it out that if you get an apartment, you really typically need first, last, and security. So maybe just a couple $1,000s, which yes, you can get an RV for a couple $1,000s as well. But it depends on what you want to get. We spent $7,500 on buying our home, so that's probably more than what you would pay for first, last, security. But once you have that, now you have an avenue to live more affordably by a monthly cost. So a little small pro, but I guess more of a con that you need that upfront money to start.
Yeah, also pro tip, if you are interested in the RV lifestyle, I would not recommend buying a new RV. That is going to make it way more expensive and probably not be worth it.
Yeah, so that's one con.
But the next con that I feel pretty strongly about is the fact that RVs don't have the best insulation. So this one definitely pertains specifically to us because we live in Key West and it gets really friggin' hot here. Right now I think it's like 80s, mid 80s every day.
And it's February.
Yeah, in the summers it gets like 90 every day. It can get up to like 95. So it's just very consistently hot every day. And it's a good example of when we shoot these videos actually. Every few minutes we have to pause recording and turn on our AC because just a few minutes of not having your AC on, like I already start to sweat.
Yeah, but that's an RV that we're running one AC. We actually have two ACs, but our front AC needs to be replaced. So we ordered a new one. So it's going to come in and it's going to crank so nicely. So that's going to be awesome to have. But still, RVs do not compare to the insulation that a home has. So for us, this pertains to hot. But if you live somewhere in the north or do winter camping, that would also apply to the cold. Your RV, if you park it in the winter and went to enter it in the winter, it would probably be a few degrees warmer than outside. So you would then have to winterize your RV, and you have to put chemicals to make sure that it's kind of like a home to a bit, that your pipes like don't explode from freezing and holding contents. So the insulation is something to definitely keep in mind, but with proper AC and ventilation, it can definitely be battled with.
So another con of living in an RV is just that you have limited space. And this one's going to be about counter space specifically. When you're cooking in a kitchen, it's nice to have places to put things and have different bowls or dishes or whatever you have. And in RVs, you typically don't have the most counter space. In like newer ones I've seen, they start coming with like islands and a little bit more counter space, but typically that is something you're going to have to sacrifice on. So we have really arranged our kitchen in order to optimize our space, but it was something that we had to get around, and that does not come by default by living in an RV for sure.
All right, so the last con that we have on our list would be specifically for this RV is mobility. So this fifth wheel, you need a truck with a gooseneck receiver hitch in order to move it. So this fifth wheel is 37 feet. So 37 feet plus probably an 18-foot truck makes this rig ginormous.
I think it's like 13,000 pounds or something.
Yes, so it is a huge load to carry. So to start off, we don't have a truck. We do not have a receiver hitch to move this at all. So the con is that this thing is stationary because we do not have the means to move it. We can pay someone to move it for us, but we really want to have that aspect of mobility. So we have a 2006 GMC Envoy that's capable of towing anywhere from 5,000 to 6,000 pounds. So that's about a small travel trailer that you can comfortably tow across the country. So with that being said, that is something that we're actually looking to maybe move towards. We're very happy and comfortable in this place, but the fact that we can't move it does drive us a bit nuts. So we're definitely on the lookout for something smaller. We're not sure if we're really gonna put this thing up on the market yet because we're happy with where we are. But I mean, if we do end up selling it or something like that, definitely stay tuned because we might have another small RV renovation in our future.
So in conclusion, 100% totally we love living in an RV. And when our time comes on this place, we will probably do it again someday. If you are curious of what RV campgrounds cost in your area, definitely do a Google search just to compare. It might just be fun to compare what you're currently paying in rent and what you could be at a campground. Just keep in mind that you could probably pick up a nice RV for like 10 to 15 grand pretty easily. So that's going to be an upfront cost, but just to have a little comparison.
Totally. So guys, that's it for today. But if you are ever curious of coming to Key West, hit us up in the comments down below. We'd love to show you our place. Or if you're coming in your own camper, make sure to hit up leoscampground.com. That is a shameless shout out to the family business. Absolute awesome campground. So leoscampground.com, mile marker 4.5. But aside from that, guys, it's been Gab and Bren. Thank you so much for tuning in to another video. We'll catch you next time.